It's me. It's me. We're back. And I'm here with Alex. And we've got the post-China Grand Prix Lap Down podcast to present to you in association with your business name here. Now, if you're enjoying it, please follow us and like us and subscribe to us and review us and all this other great stuff, because our community is building wonderfully around the 2026 Formula One season, because we are your positivity podcast partners in the world of the negative arseholes that create Formula One content. AB, how are you?
Hello, I'm well. I like that energy you're bringing already. You messaged me before this and you said I've got a little bit of a hot take sort of ranty thing he wants to go on, and I'm looking forward to that later. It's not coming yet, because we've got some other things to pick through first. Because, and if you are new here, we're not the first to break any news to you, so there shall be no news breaking. We're not the first to recap this Grand Prix, so there's going to be a superficial look back. But we like to pick out the important things, like team principals showing human emotion and the impact that can have on drivers and that sort of thing. So that's where we're headed on this one. We'll do some tire business, shall we? Because we need to rate the Grand Prix using our very technical compound measuring system of sort of from the wet ones up through the dry compounds. And then if you want to get a little bit old school with some other colors than your red, white, and yellow, you can go for that. So the Chinese Grand Prix, Dan, what tire was it? 3, 2, 1. Hard.
Medium.
Again. You are so hard to please. Get your hard tires on.
No, my problem is I felt the Australian one in hindsight was actually better than this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I've
this
got
is very posse pod.
I know, right? And the reason is for it, and I'm starting to think, and this isn't the hot take, but longer track, less exciting with the new bits and bobs and things. Shorter track, more exciting.
Okay. So Monaco, it's going to be race of the season.
It's going to be elite.
How does Monaco compare? Obviously, it's not a fifth gear track. It's not.
Well, they won't be able to get past one another, so it's kind of irrelevant.
How does that compare lengthwise? Is Monaco long? Is it long because it does a lot of turny bits?
No.
Or no? So if you stretched out Monaco, you wouldn't go around the moon 3 times.
Yeah, I reckon you could stand at one end of it and kind of piss at the top of the hill, and you'd get to the bottom.
Oh,
of it.
I know you can. I know it's compact.
Yeah.
You can go a long way in a compact space.
It's not a helter-skelter type thing. It doesn't just go round and round and round on itself.
I mean, there is specifically a corner where it does exactly that. There is a helter-skelter. They should call that helter-skelter from now on.
Yes, but I don't think they're going to rename the hotel. I feel if they renamed the Hotel de Monte Carlo the helter-skelter, it would bring the general vibe of the whole place, Principality, down.
Yeah.
You'd probably be looking more like Bognor Regis on a Sunday afternoon in winter, with some 2p arcade machines, rather than... Because I would imagine Monaco's a fairly glitzy place. I've never been.
I've been to Monaco.
Have you?
Yeah.
Glitzy?
Yeah. Boats.
Yeah.
It's boaty.
Yeah.
It's boaty.
You get boats in Bognor as well, to be fair.
Do you?
Yeah.
Bognor, terrible word. Terrible word. I don't like that whatsoever. Grand Prix overall, though, if we go into slightly more detail, this not a huge amount of detail, that's not what we do here, but a small amount of detail. It was just a nice weekend of racing, I think, from start to finish. Even the FP session kind of had a bit of business going on about it. There was intrigue there. Great sprinting. That's sprinting at its best. That is, I think, if you try and pitch someone a sprint, that's what we're looking for. Qualifying, okay, maybe, and we might come back to this. Qualifying, perhaps not as exciting. But then, by the time we got into the actual main event, yeah, let's go. It just felt like a good weekend to me.
It was. Qualifying's excitement comes from jeopardy, doesn't it? It does. You don't get on track kind of sword fighting going on. That doesn't happen in qualifying. So qualifying for years has always been about jeopardy, and we had jeopardy in this qualifying session with obviously George not being able to take to track at the end of, the start of Q3. You always have those drivers on the bubble that are kind of, he's going faster, he's not going faster, or is he going faster? And I think the deployment of the go-go buttons make those bits of it a bit crap to look at, because you suddenly kind of see somebody go, he's gone purple, He's 3 seconds off the pace.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, okay, it's because he's... Anyway, that's fine. They'll figure it out. What they'll do is they'll change the graphics and they'll make it look like it's not actually happening that way. And it will fix all of the world's problems. Sprinting, this feels like more fuel for the fire of, I believe it was Stefano Domenicali a couple of years ago saying that Formula One fans' attention spans are too short. And therefore, we need shorter Grand Prix because you get more stuff happening. And I think this does add some weight and some value to that argument. And I don't necessarily think it goes against the attention span thing. But if you've got a more concentrated product, the cars have got less time to separate and really kind of string themselves out. You do get a more intense kind of shot of action in that period of time. And I think... I wouldn't want to replace them, but it very much does feel more sprints would be a good idea.
Yeah, and I think it's about being smart about it as well. Like if we went sprinting in Australia, that's not suddenly going to be great. And it's, okay, Australia, to use my preferred metric, perfectly fine to drive on the game. You can get into a nice rhythm with it. It's fine.
Yep.
But there's not really that many places that lend themselves to logical overtakes that are not pissed down straight overtakes. China, fair play. We saw overtakes at a good number of different corners. And it almost felt like, okay, there were plenty of overtakes down the 18 million kilometre back straight. That's always going to happen. But they didn't always stick. And then there were overtakes back into turn one, which seems to last about 2.5 minutes as it goes all the way round. I think it's turn 7. There are a couple of times I was on the F1 TV commentary this week because no Martin, no party. And a couple of times, I think it was Jolyon Palmer being like, you don't overtake into 7. He's overtaken into 7. And there was one, I think it was Lewis Hamilton. I don't know if it was in the sprint or in the main race, where he just suddenly fucking sent it through a gap that was not a car-sized gap, pulled it off. Incredible. Love it. So I think it's just, I mean, this is not a hot take. This is the coldest of cold takes, but tracks that promote overtaking are better for all forms of racing, whether that's quick racing or long racing. And they just need to be smarter with it. Give me more sprints on the right tracks. And then also, if you're a track that doesn't get a sprint, you should start being concerned about the product that you're offering, because if you weren't deemed exciting enough for a sprint, maybe you're not exciting enough for other things. But Australia is also confirmed for like 2035, and I'm not advocating for losing my home race.
No. Did you hear or did you see the rumours that you might be getting 2 home races?
Now, I saw something. Now, this might be separate to what you saw. I saw one Instagram video of someone that's like, they've not started packing down Albert Park yet. It's all still set up. And then all the comments were like, no, they're tearing the pit building down as we speak. It didn't take long for that to be shot down. Was that where that was coming from? Was there
yeah,
other
pretty
chatter?
much. And I don't know how easy it is to go and make these things kind of happen again. But with the upcoming, what's it going to be, like a 5-week break?
Spring break, yeah.
It does feel slightly short-sighted that, and to be fair, maybe there will be an announcement coming very soon in the next couple of days that they've got some form of contingency plan in place. But it would be a shame. It would be a shame to kind of have the start that we've had in this Formula One World Championship and then go, right, yeah, we'll see you in 5 weeks. Yeah.
The interesting thing for me, and this is where I said before, we're not going to ever break news to you because this phrasing came out, I think, on possibly Friday. It's that Saudi and Bahrain will not take place in April. And it was a very clunky sentence for a press release, but a very deliberate one that sticks out, that those Grand Prix are not cancelled. Those Grand Prix are technically in limbo, suspended, postponed, because I think they'll do everything they can to slot them into a spot down the line if we stop throwing things at each other.
Are we about to borderline discover the chance of midweek Grand Prix in 2026? Are we
Tuesday race action?
Imagine like a 7:45 kickoff because they need to get their TV deals in. So what we're going to do is we're going to head out to Qatar. We're going to do Qatar on the Sunday. Then we're going to head straight to Saudi because we've got to get these in because it's nearly January now. And then we're going to have a 7:45 kickoff Wednesday night, like Champions League football type thing.
Yeah.
And then from there, we've got to go straight over to Qatar, to Abu Dhabi, because we've gone, bollocks. So we've got to get this one in now. And then we're going to go like 7:45. And then we're going to be talking about drivers having burnout and the calendar being too busy and stuff like that. But could it be? Have I solved a problem?
That's the true meaning of double header now, is that we go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yes.
Tell you what, it's not your worst idea, Daniel. It's not your worst idea.
I've had some terrible ones in my time, but
this isn't one of them.
I'm thinking.
But yeah,
or we just don't end up not having a summer break, I guess, and we'll just stick to Middle Eastern Grand Prix in the middle.
You've had your spring break. What do you want? Yeah. I'm disappointed as a racing fan that we might have a spring break, or that we're going to have a spring break. It's going to happen, right? I don't like that 3 races into the year, I've got 5 weeks off. I just had a lot of weeks off. I don't need more.
Yep.
But as a fan of competition and watching a Grand Prix where there are currently 2 cars running their own race, and then there are 20 cars running a second race, it's almost exciting that they've now got this enforced catch-up window for every other team. And I think if we rebrand it, it's not a spring break, it's not a gap in the calendar, it's a catch-up window, then all of a sudden that's a little bit easier to sell. Because you would like to hope, and I don't know how to design an F1 car, I don't know how these things work, I don't know how quickly you can accelerate progress. But if I'm an engineer that has a car that is too slow, so we saw that the Red Bull or something, they leaked the scales, didn't they? Because there was someone in hospitality that managed to take a picture of the screen. Wonderful. It's like 18 kilos overweight or something like that. So the team in Milton Keynes now have an opportunity of 5 weeks in the gym. And all the teams have now got that. Yes, okay, Mercedes also have that, and they might just get quicker again. But there's an opportunity now to actually reset. We've got real world race data. We know where we are and aren't strong. We know where Mercedes are quicker than us. We've looked at each other's cars. Inspector Hamilton's been up the arse of that Red Bull and the Mercedes and all the rest of it. They can do things now, and it's not an incremental. We might see some drastically different looking cars turn up in, what's our first race back after the opportunity development window? Miami. Okay, so we're into Miami. We could see some very different looking
Almost
cars.
certainly with different colours, to be fair.
Oh, yeah, it's Miami, so we'll have 18 special liveries. But we could see some very different cars come Miami because of the development window.
Look, that is the exact reason as to why you guys have tuned in and listened to your Formula One Positivity podcast. Because we thought about it and we thought, well, it could be crap, but no. What we've done is we've taken the turd, we've sprinkled some glitter on it and tied a nice little bow around it. And we're thinking, look, I love it. Take my money.
Yeah.
Take my money.
There's signs there, isn't there? Not Carlos's. That Ferrari are not a million miles away. And I think the key is keeping those Mercedes behind for a bit. I think as soon as the Mercedes can get out in front, their legs stretch very quickly. I mean, Kimi pulled out like a 9-second gap at one point on another Mercedes.
Yeah.
So give them clean air, and they'll a little bit like the McLarens, I think, for the last couple of years. So if you let the McLarens get in front, you're not seeing them again. They're gone ski. But if you get them in the fight, they're not suddenly leagues better that they can just piss past. They know how to get away with it. So if we could have Ferrari and, God forbid, McLaren actually starts a Grand Prix with 2 cars, we can get a few more, cars in that mix, could make a difference. Or we might come back and the Mercedes are 2 seconds a lap quicker because they've had 5 weeks to iron out their issues.
Absolutely could be that. It could be that. And if it does go down that route, we kind of fall back into the real races for third place conversation, which again, look, and again, I'm not going to give it away yet, but we were all told that was okay, wasn't it? We were all told that this was good racing because Max has checked out and disappeared and doing whatever he's doing. But the race for second, God, that was good.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we are right now. We're kind of teetering on the edge of, do we start talking about, the real races for P3? Or as you say, those other guys, in particular Ferrari, aren't a million miles away behind. They're not light years behind. It's not like Mercedes had everything their own way during the course of that feature race. The Ferrari were able to be a nuisance for a period of time. We're just talking about marathon runners compared to like 1,500-meter runners here, aren't we? We're kind of, Mercedes have gone, well, look, I've got 25 miles in the tank, whereas Hamilton and Leclerc have got to 1,400 meters and they've gone, they can still cover the 25 miles, just not at the same pace that they were able to cover over the 1,500 meters. So, look, it's good. It's good shit. Good shit.
And the racing we saw from the two Ferraris is just, I cannot believe there is any Formula One fan, right? And I do my air quotations around that because that, God knows how we define that these days. But I cannot believe that there's any Formula One fan that can have looked at the battling that we had from those Ferraris, realistically in both sort of the sprint and in the Grand Prix, and gone, oh shit. You cannot possibly have looked at that and had any issue with it. Would it have been even more exciting if one car was one colour and the other car was another colour? Sure. Does that actually change the fact that those two cars were just driven with an insane amount of skill, composure, the right amount of risk, the right amount of daring with it? I mean, we had a genuine, 10-lap, probably best part of, battle between two cars at the highest stakes possible because do not clip each other. I think Hamilton said they kissed at one point, which is a little bit fanfic. But that, just perfect racing. Perfect racing. If you want to watch racing, there it was. Okay, it wasn't for the lead. Yes, they were the same colour. The racing still happened on my television and my eyes still liked it.
Yeah, and I think as well, if it wasn't for those two kind of having such a good time with one another, we probably would have seen the two Silver Arrows having a nice little ding-dong in the feature race with each other as well at the front of the grid. It was because George kind of got stuck behind the two of them for a period of time, wasn't it, that Antonelli was able to just vanish and disappear off into the distance. Otherwise, I'm certain that we would have had two silver cars having a great time, two red cars having a great time, two orange cars doing absolutely nothing, and then the rest of them doing whatever they wanted to do around the course of Shanghai for a few weeks. Do we talk about McLaren next? Do we get them out of the way?
Let's talk about McLaren. Well, let's talk about the fact that Oscar Piastri has got 3 World Championship points and hasn't actually started a race yet. So that's a quite good effort by Oscar to be 0 from 2 on Grand Prix and still not be last in the championship.
It was a painful watch, wasn't it? It was and I think this is another one of these things that you just need to note it down to be a little bit wary of. And yes, they were the two that weren't able to even get going, but there was another couple of drivers that weren't able to take the grid, weren't there, in Shanghai?
Yeah.
There was another couple in Melbourne that kind of weren't able to take their grid slots. I think it was Gasly, wasn't it, that just kind of drove straight through and went, oh shit. And then managed to reverse it back, which for some reason that feels okay, but equally doesn't feel right. I'm not quite sure
seeing an F1 car reverse slowly back into a grid spot. Yeah,
I'm not sure. But anyway,
on that, sorry, just very quickly because we'll move past this otherwise too quickly. If a car fails to take the grid, should you all get bumped up, or should we have gaps on the grid? Because I watched that and I thought, well, if it's in quali and they have that problem and they don't occupy that spot, everyone gets bumped up. If they get penalised and dropped down, everyone moves up a spot. You don't leave a gap. Should Gasly and everyone else not have inherited an extra 2 spots as soon as those McLaren? I'm trying to fundamentally change the rules of Formula One here, but
it's fine.
It just seemed odd to me. Like, why leave a gap? Should it not just be, if the car's not there, everyone just pull forward until you hit the back of another car?
Now hear me out. They don't strike me as the most engaged and intelligent bunch all of the time. Very, very skillful at what they do. If it was a case of going, the space in front of you is free, pull into it. I think that's okay. But I think if you start here and then all of a sudden you've got to kind of navigate your way over this side and then the next car has to do this and they're all kind of wiggling into it feels like a disaster, to be honest with you. It feels like a charity kind of pre-Grand Prix weekend warm-up sponsors event type thing, and all of a sudden we've got bits of Formula One car just on the side of the track because they've just bumped and driven into one another. My thing to note down though is with these new regulations, and I'm hopeful that all of this stuff will get ironed out, but it does feel like there is an absolute and it's not to say that the ones before weren't very complicated and very delicate in order to kind of make them work, but we're not sitting in there with a key, are we, and going done. This feels like a real kind of rocket science type process in order to get these things to actually kind of move. And I just to note, is there too much shit going on in order to get these things going? I know it's been 2 Grand Prix, but I think over the course of it, we had 5 retirements last week, maybe 6, plus another 3 this week, plus 2 couldn't get off the line. Some started in the pit lane. It's not the perfect look, is it?
No, I will counter it with we've got new engine regs and new aero regs all at once. Like, we've got a lot of new car at once. And I know that you couldn't necessarily have brought one in without the other because they are sort of slightly reliant on each other. But I don't think there's a cause for alarm, anywhere near cause for alarm yet, because we are 2 races in. Yes, okay, they got a little bit of extra testing at the start of the year, but no one really stretched their legs in that. And it's not usually until you stretch your legs that things start to break. So I don't think so. We got that interesting shot, didn't we, with the Cadillac with its engine cover missing. And you look in there and it's like, shit, mate, there's a lot of stuff in there, a lot of bits. A lot of bits in an F1 car. There's my revelation.
That's not in the Speed Champions model that I've got at home.
No, there's all sorts going on in there. So I think it's... I mean, McLaren were quick to point the finger at Mercedes, weren't they? They made a very pointed statement to come out and say we had separate electrical issues on the PU side, and basically put their hands up and went, not our fault. Nothing to do with the orange bits went wrong on that car. It's the old pointy bits. And then we had George with what I believe was an electrical issue at the start of Q3 that he couldn't run there. So if anything, I think the eyebrow raise is our championship leading engine. Are there some gremlins in that which we might now, through the opportunity window, have? They may well iron all those out. But there's a lot of Mercedes engines having electrical issues that I say a lot of, comparatively a lot of, which is interesting. Interesting. But no, I mean, the jeopardy is kind of fun in a way until it's your favourite driver or whoever your nominated super picking driver is that goes down. But, you know, if we're not certain that Kimi Antonelli can finish one more lap and we'll just save the big, excited monologue until he actually crosses the line, then, well, you know, stick the sprinklers on.
Yeah, is the car going to finish? Is it not going to finish? Who can be sure? It's
first.
Not something I want to subscribe to on a regular basis.
No, skill and stuff coming into it
would be my preference. That'd be my preferential subscription if I had the choice.
Yeah.
Which at the minute I don't, but
no. Can we talk a little bit about Flavio Briatore?
Yeah.
How about this?
Have you rewatched it and you found like a phallus-shaped cushion on his sofa or something?
No, he's still a cunt. But God forbid Flavio showed the tiniest amount of human emotion and positivity towards one of his drivers, and all of a sudden Colapinto's in the points. Can we just stop to appreciate that all it took, Flavio, and I'm not here to tell you how to do your job, all it took was that you stopped being a cunt for 5 seconds, gave a bloke a hug, and now you've got Gasly that keeps sticking it up in places he shouldn't be, and Colapinto's now in the points as well. Have you considered that sometimes carrot is better than stick? Well, so just be a good bloke, and sometimes people want to do well for you. Up the Pinto.
Do you think Flavio Briatore is more of a Pablo Escobar style, to use your word, not nice person than potentially what we kind of thought? Have we beaten him with the wrong stick, to use your analogy? Is he the kind of guy that, in truth, has actually built a lot of schools and medical centres and public transport around Medellin and places like that? And actually the locals really liked Flavio. Then the people that didn't like the good things that he'd done, or particularly the bad things that he'd done, i.e. telling Nelson Piquet to crash on purpose and various other bits and bobs like that, have come in, done a lot of like war and stuff, and bad things and banned him and fined him. But if you're in his corner, do you think he's actually an all right bloke? Is he that kind of like leader, or is he just a terrible tyrant? Because he's not. Here we go. He doesn't strike me as a helmet Marco.
No, not many people are a helmet. But I mean, there is an amount of evidence available for one of those arguments, and an amount of evidence available for the other one of those arguments, and that it's slightly disproportionate. But hey, the fact that it was newsworthy that he did a single positive thing towards one of his drivers instead of backhanded comments of being a prick, well, just results speak for themselves.
Yeah.
How about Franco, by the way?
You just didn't realise how happy someone would be, would you, if at that point Jack Doohan wasn't in your life anymore?
But the Jack Doohan stuff is where I'm thinking he's not building primary schools and local hospitals, because it was just some of the... Yeah, look, hey. But just of note that all it takes to get Colapinto to do well, a little cuddle. Whether it's a MILF or a Flavio, just a little cuddle, and Colapinto will score some points for you. Oh, yeah. Not bad going. Lewis Hamilton, good feels.
Great feels.
Bloke just turned into Borat in the cool-down room for some reason. All of a sudden, he's king in the castle and has a chair. I mean, you've never seen someone be so impressed by a display sofa. I mean, that bloke must go into DFS and just have a fucking wonderful afternoon. Imagine him just going around Sophology, just being like, look, hey, Charles, look at the upholstery on this one. It's red. Hey, this is great. Bloke just loves furniture.
Yeah. I like the idea of the two of them pulling up in their Ferrari outside DFS.
Asking about finance plans. Can you do 4-year interest free?
0%. Whoa, I tell you what.
Maybe I will get the footrest.
I was going to say we could get the recliners here, Charles, if we really want to. Anyway, I like the fact that you've managed to kind of extend this Borat thing through from Melbourne, having had George Russell's post-race radio message to carry on through. It's great feels, though. Like I had forgotten, genuinely had forgotten, that Lewis Hamilton hadn't stood on the podium for Ferrari since joining that team.
Proper podium. Non-sprinty podium.
Yeah, well, he won that, didn't he, 12 months ago? But I'd kind of forgotten that it hadn't happened. And it did make you feel a little bit warm and fuzzy, and it makes you feel warm and fuzzy when you see him smile, and it makes you feel like things are returning to a bit of normality when Lewis Hamilton's doing good. And I kind of feel like enough water under the bridge has passed now since the Hamilton-Verstappen rivalry, that actually there's a lot more love towards Lewis than what there was 5 or 6 years ago, I think. I think.
Yeah, I think it's probably just all of the neutral fans, I think, are probably going to just be peaks and troughs constantly, because I think a lot of the neutral fans that were all in on Verstappen when it was Hamilton-Verstappen are now probably all in on Lewis, because we're back to... I mean, people like an underdog, don't they? I like an underdog. So it's he's become the underdog again and flipped it around the other way. And I also think if we're going to be the posi pod, we need to reward positivity. And I think we're sort of coming on to this, I suppose, in a second, we build up for your big rant. Here we go. But Mr. Verstappen at the minute is being very mopey and is making a lot of whingy comments and just being a real Debbie Downer about Formula One in general. While Lewis is out here buying cows, having a great time, he's smiling, he's joking, he's reviewing sofas. He is loving Formula One at the minute. Yeah. Nothing to do, I'm sure, with the fact that one of them is fighting for podiums and one of them literally can't start the car on the grid. But there's a definite shift in that, and I can't help but feel like possibly a little bit more of a posy mental attitude from Max, and he might be able to make it to the first corner.
Did you already see that he's going to race in the 24 hours of Nürburgring thing later this year?
Yeah.
Like, he's already filling his calendar with non-Formula One related things to try and find some enjoyment in his, what I would imagine is a very miserable life that he leads, kind of flying around in a private jet. He's not a miserable person. Just before you start slating me, I can't be arsed with it. We're not an anti-Max podcast. I suppose at the end of the day for these guys, this is what they live for. This is what they've trained for their entire life. And it goes back to that thing we spoke about a few weeks ago with how much money would you have to be paid just to potter around with not really a hope of winning things. And clearly Max isn't paid enough to just want to potter around and not win things, because yeah, unsurprisingly, things haven't gone the way that he'd have liked them to. I think maybe he knew that was going to be the case going into this season anyway. And yeah, the negativity has just switched and swapped a little bit down the locker room, hasn't it, from one garage to the next. And it is genuinely just down to the fact that one's doing well or other people are doing well and one isn't. And that's it. I'm sure Red Bull will figure it out. I mean, they do tend to, don't they? They've got an ability to throw some cash at stuff and make it work. And I will say, despite the negativity, Max, he had a brilliant Sunday. Like he went backwards off the grid because as you say, he couldn't get it to go.
Yeah.
Got it back to, I think, P6, then got bollocksed by the safety car when everybody double stacked the lap after he'd already boxed. So then went all the way back down to like P14 again, all the way back up, I think, to P6, to which point Red Bull went, nah, your car's fucked, you better pull over. So he isn't the problem here. He's still very, very good and very, very talented at what he does. It's just the hardware that he's sat in at the moment. So a hot pile of garbage.
Well, he's the problem on the starts. I've seen a little bit of chatter about people going, oh, we need to fix something on that Red Bull, they need to fix something on that car to work out the starts. And I'm sat there looking at Mr. Hadjar, who's pulling away perfectly fine when those 5 lights go out. And I'm not suggesting Verstappen's skill issue, wouldn't dare, but also a little bit, get good, Max, Verstappen's skill issue, because you're formerly just about a rookie teammate. He can find the loud pedal when the lights go out. He's fine. He's not going backwards. Just all I'm saying is, and I'm not saying it, but all I'm saying is Max Verstappen and Liam Lawson kind of on par skill-wise when it comes to the grid. I think that, yes, look, neither of them can go forward. Well, Arvid Lindblad, he can go forward. Isaac Adjei can go forward. So maybe we've got the wrong drivers in the wrong seats. Max to VCARB is what I'm saying, basically, to Mojo.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
That is what I heard. Here's my question for you. Here's my hot take. And everybody who's listening and watching this, please get your answers in the comments. But are we focusing too much on the negativity because we are foreshadowing a George Russell Mercedes world champion? Here's my thought is, if you were thinking of combinations of people that make you feel warm and fuzzy, how far down the list of combinations do you get before you get to George Russell and Mercedes as a combination of people you'd like to see doing well? I have no issue with George Russell at all, but I don't necessarily get the impression he is the most liked human being in the world of Formula One. I'm thinking Oscar, McLaren, Max Red Bull, Lewis Ferrari, Charles Ferrari, maybe a few others, Lando McLaren, and then maybe a little bit more to when you get down to George and Mercedes. And I feel after 2 races, the focus on the negativity is as much to do with, I don't want to see George Russell as a world champion, compared to what is actually happening on track right now. Discuss.
Yeah, I don't understand why George is so disliked. He might not even be disliked. Disliked might not be the word. He might just be not liked and sit in that middle ground of just... I mean, there has to be George Russell fans. I'm sure there are many, many, many George Russell fans. They're possibly just a little bit polite, British and quiet, and maybe they don't make themselves quite as known as some of the other fans. They're all sort of hiding away a little bit. I think the domination point is valid, and I think we almost needed Mercedes to have more quietly sandbagged in testing, because people had already decided after testing, and I suppose the engine rumours in the build up to testing, a lot of people had already decided that Mercedes were going to piss this season before the season had even started. Now, yes, Mercedes is currently pissing the season. Well done to Mercedes. You've made the best car. Superb. Well done. Hats off. I think people are worried about that, and they're almost taking it out on anything else they can find, which I suppose is because they don't want to take it out on George, because you can't take it out on George. So they're taking it out on regs and telemetry bugs, and that the car sounds a little bit funny down the back straight. I do also think, to couple onto that, there is just a reluctance to accept that it's not 1978 anymore, and they're not burning actual dinosaur. It's not a dinosaur fossil in the engine that's running to make that thing go. And there's just an unwillingness to be open-minded. I'm not saying you have to like it. I'm not saying you have to come out and massively defend these regulations or say that, yes, this is the best Formula One has ever been. Not asking for that. But it's like vegans that make telling you that they're a vegan their entire personality. There is currently a decently sized cohort of Formula One fans who have decided that their only interest in Formula One is telling you how much they hate Formula One at the minute. It's like, well, just go watch something else then.
I genuinely think if it wasn't George and Mercedes, I think the hilltops would be quieter.
Yeah.
I think if it was Kimi and Mercedes, I think people would be okay with it. I think it's a combination of, we went through such a long period of time of domination with Mercedes. And I think it's a big problem, the fact that George Russell was British. And there's a chance of going, oh, well, here we go. We're going to get another British Formula One world champion and just add another one to it. If it was Kimi, fine. I think if it was Lewis and Ferrari, I think people would be going, well, hey, this is brilliant. If I think it was Charles and Ferrari, I think it'd be brilliant. I think if it was Max and Red Bull, I think there'd be enough noise to drown out the regs are... If it was Oscar and McLaren in particular, I think there would be enough positivity of, well, we always said Lando was shit and Oscar was the real driver and we're good. But if it was Lando and McLaren, I think, again, it falls into that George. And maybe it's nationality. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe Formula One fans are racist.
There you go. That's what it is. Clip that up. It's just that. 4 seconds. That's the whole clip. Job done. No, I think there is certainly an element of it. I think part of possibly why George doesn't seem to get a huge amount of love, he's just kind of irritatingly perfect. Like, he's the rich, good-looking English dude in the, with his top off and his little blue and white striped shorts on his own yacht in Monaco. And he's very good at what he does. And to flip it around and be the posse pod for a second, kind of nice that George is now getting his opportunity. He was very good in that Williams that was an absolute shitbox and sort of outdrove that for a bit. Deserved his promotion up into Mercedes. The entire time he's been at Mercedes, people have been trying to put someone else in his seat for God knows what reason. The constant rumor, oh, well, if Max said he'd go to Mercedes now, Toto would get rid of George immediately. So, guarantee you he wouldn't. Because apart from anything else, George costs probably a third of what Max does, and he's still getting his... You can only finish first. You can't finish 0th. Like, you win or you win. Yeah. So I don't know why people don't seem to want him to have his little moment. But I think there is he's the posh, rich British kid, isn't he? There's certainly an element of that. Yeah. I can't argue with any of it, really. I think it's all happening. I feel we would have heard more whinging, bitching, and moaning because I'm foreshadowing, but I'm kind of predicting, but I'd imagine if George was able to get out at the start of Q3 on Saturday, he would have qualified P2 for the Grand Prix. Or did he he could qualify P2 anyway? Yeah, he would have been on pole. I think, realistically.
Yeah, I think so. And then probably would have been that Mercedes that would have not been caught up behind the battling two Ferraris and just disappeared off into the distance. But yeah, look, as you said, he feels like he's done his time, hasn't it? And is very well deserving of this kind of immediate part of success. But who knows what changes after the developmental break?
Yes, the development window going to be wonderful. Last thing possibly from China on our China recap podcast, and it's going to lead nicely into some Pedal Lip stuff. Ollie Behrman. How about Ollie Behrman is kind of the title of this section. The bloke is on an absolute heater so far this year, and that Haas doesn't look terrible, which is a strange sentence. That might be the first time that sentence has ever been spoken, is that Haas doesn't look terrible. Ocon is making it look more like a Haas than Ollie Behrman is. But if that's not the most perfect, if this is not currently the most perfect audition for Ollie Behrman, when Lewis sort of goes, I've sort of had enough now in maybe a year's time, and we just stick Ollie Behrman in red immediately. I mean, he's having a wonderful start to the year. The bloke's killing it and just looks proper in a car that has no business being proper. Well done, Haas, as well, because that car is obviously not bad.
You know when that Haas is going to look stunning as well? Next Grand Prix. Toyota Haas special edition livery, beautiful. Yes, Oliver Behrman has been very good. He we all know that on-track performances don't really count for anything in this world, do they? Of the preferred driver of the Lapdown podcast, which I will say the full title because I can't say the abbreviation.
I'll help you though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the wrong button.
Pedal dip.
Come on, you got this. You got this today.
Pedal dip.
Come on, you got it.
Pedal dip.
Here we go. And now it's your turn, Dan. It is
Pedoddle dip.
Yay!
I think I did it. I don't think I nailed it, but I think I got enough of it to get by. But what was I saying? I can't remember. On-track stuff's not important.
No, exactly. Because he's, I think, making himself a Pedoddle dip contender.
Yes. Off-track stuff, however, I feel there's an Oliver Behrman blip on the sonar of the Valtteri Bottas Pedoddle dip. I think I actually got it right that time.
Yeah.
Submarine tracking system thing. We've got Liam Lawson on there blipping away, and I feel now, having had Oliver Behrman just drop the biggest F-bomb in the pen post-Grand Prix, feels like it's just kind of adding a little bit of weight to it. And yeah. It's very Essex, wasn't it, that bit?
Yes. Yes, a lot of what you get from Ollie Behrman is the went to Italy when he was like 16, left his family behind, posh kid, and then occasionally Essex
Chelmsford.
Ollie. Yeah, Chelmsford Ollie. Chelmsford Friday night Ollie comes out. He's had 3 VK Blues for a tender. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. On the topic as well, I'm going to press this button properly this time. We've got some team radio from Rosie Collins at the lap pad.
Marvellous.
She's it. Now, I will say, always lovely to hear from Rosie. This email, if I was to divide this email up into chunks, we've got the first 10% of the email is her pick for super picking for the last round, which we'll get to in a bit. 10% is the sign off at the bottom. The middle 80% is this entire Pedoddle dip based rant. So you said there, and we said the other week, Liam is very much blipping our radar because of the V-Carb admin. Very much blipping. Here's the email. Here's the team radio that we had in at teamradio@lapdownpod.com if you want to send yours in as well. This is what we had from Rosie during the week. If you'll make Liam your preferred driver, I will close up the lap pad and withdraw the thinking partner sponsorship that brings you no monetary value. But still, that man is an on-track terrorist, and it's more like Liam loathsome after what he's done to Checo, the Mexican national treasure, Fernando the GOAT, Carlos, my future husband, and former Pedoddle dip Colapinto. He's got a terrible attitude and can kick rocks, and I refuse to be associated with anything to do with him. Lol. Sincerely, Rosie Collins.
I'm shocked.
Rosie's come out swinging.
I'm shocked. Well, that's it then. He's off the radar, isn't it?
The official thinking partner has done some thinking and has come up with some thoughts.
And these big blue chip sponsors that we've got going on here, the official partners. I mean, they carry an awful lot of weight to this podcast. So they are, as much as we might like to think we are the team principals and race directors, in reality, we are just puppets to the people that are fueling the fire, I guess.
I think we're the Christian Horner, and then the people are the Helmut Marko and the.
I mean, if she wasn't going to leave before, now you've just called her Helmut Marko. I think she's Gansky.
Who's the other? The actual Red Bull bloke at Red Bull,
Mr. Red Bull,
Oliver something. I think like the chap that owns the Red Bull on the Red Bull, who gets to make those calls. I think is above us. And then we've also got some team radio from the official bubbly energy partner of the Lapdown podcast. It's Dan 2. First of all, Dan 2, thank you so much for my supply of bubbly energy. You're clearly looking out for your fellow Dan, though, because I believe he received more aluminium tubes and flavors within it than I did. But it's a Dan thing. I get it. Very appreciative to our official partner. Dan has got a couple of bits. Now, these are pre-China, some of these, but they do carry over. So Dan said, a couple of thoughts on last weekend. This was about Australia, but I will apply this to China as well. Mm-hmm. Lots of overtaking. Good. Engines winding down on a straight. Bad. And I think that basically sums up the first 2 rounds so far. I think that works. And then he's going to throw into our super picking and his super picking pick, so we can quite easily branch across
splendid.
here. Do you want to give us some stats for me and you before I introduce Rosie and Dan's picks? How did we do?
Certainly.
Well, you picked fucking George Russell, so you're a big pointer.
Well, you're on the board, which
I've
is an
got some
improvement from
points.
Australia.
And
So
point has been scored.
good for you. You picked up 19 points from Isaac Hadjar over the course of the weekend. I didn't hate the strategy that you picked. To be fair, you went middle ground. Well, no, you went a slight advancement on your middle ground, and you're still playing it safe. And the reason why you played it safe was because of the reliability issues. And I think it's completely honourable.
I got quite lucky there with Max, actually, because there was part of me that thought, China, Max might pull some moves off there. So I've been slightly lucky there. Also, Isaac got bloody torpedoed at some point, didn't he, and spun around and all the rest. Like, he's had he was running last for a good chunk.
That might even been by Ollie Behrman.
Oliver.
Maybe. I'm not sure. So anyway, you got 19 points. Obviously, we got a little bit of double bubble going on with the half points from the sprint race. So good for you, 19 points. To be honest with you, from Isaac Hadjar, I don't think 19 points is a terrible return.
No.
I don't think it's awful.
Annoyingly, he was the last driver on the lead lap. I nearly managed to pull 3 lap down points out of him as well, and a P8, which would have been stunning.
Yeah.
But he just managed to hang on.
22 points for an Isaac Hadjar. I mean, that feels like about as good as it gets kind of thing. And it's interesting. It's an interesting look ahead. Yeah. Interesting look ahead. I went George, and things were looking very good. Very good. Obviously qualified pole in the sprint, won the sprint. Car wouldn't start in qualifying, missed out on the 3 points because he didn't get pole for the feature race, then got stuck behind the 2 Ferraris, couldn't then fight for the win, ended up finishing second. So with all of it coming together, I've scored 33.5 points through the course of the Chinese Grand Prix weekend, which puts me on 52.5 points, and you are on 19.
Which is not enough, but the whole, much like F1 being entirely fabricated racing, it's an entirely fabricated super picking championship because we've managed to align the points in such a way that no one can ever truly be out of it, which is what we want. Let's have a look at who else we've got. So we've got Dan. I'll go to him first and I'll read this verbatim because he provides some of his reasoning, which I quite like. The sprint weekend changes tactics. Eyes up towards the front of the grid. And if there was no chance of Ferrari trying to flip their rear wing upside down in China, I'd be looking at Chuck Leclerc. Side note, surely the right time to use the upside down wing was in Australia, where it is the literal upside down. Which is, the man raises a valid point. However, we shall shelve car 16, and this week, the pick is Kimi Antonelli. Mercedes fast, I'm saving Mr. T-Pose for now. Yeah. Screw you, Dan. That's a hell of a pick to have pulled out. That's, phenomenal. I mean, I'm sure we will see other race wins from Kimi this year. They will happen. He's a very talented driver. But to have managed to pull him out on a sprinter with his first Grand Prix pole and win, big points.
Yeah. And both Dan and I following a similar kind of thought process, really, wasn't it? Yeah. Big points on the board. You go for the guys that are in the fastest kind of pointy things at the start of the season. And 37 points for Kimi Antonelli with the result in the sprint, then obviously the win in the feature race, plus pole, plus driver of the day, the first time that's featured in this. So good for Dan, good for Dan too. And then Rosie, he actually takes the lead, 53 points compared to my 52.5.
The half points. The half points will get you. The half points will get you. Rosie, the 10% on the top of her last email. Hey, all, my super pick for China is Ollie Behrman. Rosie, this is why you're at the lap pad, because it's that kind of Bernie Collins rogue pick insight to have a bloke trundle home in a very comfortable P5 in a Grand Prix. Stunning work. How many did you get?
25.5.
Big point. That's big off of Behrman. 25.5 off of Behrman. Huge pointage.
Yeah, I mean, I got 19 from him last week, and that was just from the Sunday, wasn't it? So to go and add another 6.5 points on top is good eating over the course of 2 Grand Prix. So, yeah, fascinating, really. I think we are starting to kind of learn and figure tactics out. I'm going to be curious as to where you go next. Are you thinking about panicking? Do you need to really try and bring some gains back here, or what happens?
Speaking to the FIA, I want the start process changed.
Yeah, I mean, how much does Bahrain and Saudi currently not in the calendar affect things going forward? It's
Well, the interesting thing
a
with
tricky
those two
one.
not being in the calendar in April is we've lost our 2 jokers. So there's currently no Joker cards to be played at any point. It's just old school V10 racing is what we're doing. None of this
Back in the
battery
good old
bollocks.
days.
Yeah.
No super clipping.
No.
Or shit clipping, whatever it was.
Wouldn't dare. Wouldn't
Anyway.
dare. If you would like to send in your team radio with any thoughts or voice notes or your picks for super picking in future, you can still play along if you're late to the game. We'll work out a system for trying to we'll work out how to get late joiners involved. It's never too late to get involved. So you can send those in to teamradio@lapdownpod.com. You can slide a DM for us on Instagram or YouTube or TikTok @lapdownpod. Do all those things. Leave us a review and all of that. Do we have anything else that we need to cover for this Chinese Grand Prix recap?
I think that's about it, mate. I think we've got a little bit of time off now, haven't we, before Japan, just looking at the notes. And I have a sneaky suspicion we are going to be in our wheelhouse for the Japanese Grand Prix, because I think we're going to be talking about paint, and I think we're going to be talking about helmets, and we're going to be talking about special merch. And if that's the kind of Formula One nonsense that you enjoy, this is the place that specialises in said nonsense.
Absolutely. And also, we didn't actually get a chance to talk about this. George Russell, Jorge, had a special helmet for China, and it was lovely. So very last minute shout out there to Jorge, because he dropped a Chinese porcelain cut style helmet.
Maybe what we should have done for the World Championship was we should have put extra points if your driver had a special livery thing for that weekend. Then you got extra points.
I'm just going to wait then. I'm going to delay the pod until they've come out, because I know
Yes.
I see these things before you do, and then I just... I'm going to go with Nico Hülkenberg this weekend for no reason.
Oh, why? Oh, I think the Audi looks very, very quick around Miami.
Yes, I think it looks sporty. It looks sporty this weekend. It's pokey. It's got a bit of get up and go about it. Dan, where can they find you on the internet if they'd like to see you doing things?
Yeah, Dan Jad's on the internet. You can find me there. It's all going to start getting quite busy soon, which is quite terrifying, isn't it? Bearing in mind it's the 17th of March. But we'll figure things out. The Formula One podcast is still my main priority, so it will be the meat and drink of my life. How about you? Have you built your racetrack on City Skylines yet?
I haven't. I haven't bought that, and I've not seen some wonderful reviews about it, because it seems like they put in the ability to make the racetracks and then forgot to program the cars to use them properly. So there's a lot of shit clipping happening on that. You can watch me play other games on twitch.tv/HeyLookAtAlex if you want to come and see me do some stuff there, or if you want to read some tech reviews and stuff that I write, you can go to mediaberry.co.uk. That's us for this week, everybody. We've got a little bit of a gap now, so we will see you next week as we look ahead to the Japanese Grand Prix. In the meantime, get your thoughts and low stakes conspiracies and all the rest of it into teamradio@lapdownpod.com, and we will see you next time.
Cheery bye.